So this is Thrive's first coffee shop roundtable. We're so excited to have you all here. Devin from Kuppa Joy and Matt from Sagebrush Coffee. Just a little housekeeping first. We will go through some welcome and intros, and then we're really going to start the larger discussion, which again, we'd love everyone to participate in. We're going to talk through current pain points of the coffee industry, some of the best business decisions that these two have made to positively impact their company, inventory counts and employee training, how we keep up with these things, some of the Thrive features that they use, and then we'll open it up to a wide open Q&A. Does that sound good? All right, and I'll just start. I'm Ashley with Thrive. I'm the head of customer experience. Happy to be leading you all today. And then let's go ahead and hear from Devin. Devin, we'd love for you to just introduce yourself, introduce Cup of Joy, let us know a little bit about your company, the size, what you sell, how you sell it, and a little bit of your personal background too.
Yeah, so my name is Devin Hodges. I'm the COO of Kuppa Joy. My dear buddy started the company back in 2012. He got out of the NFL and was over in Europe and was in a cafe over there and felt God had spoken to him with a mission to come back to the Central Valley and open a coffee shop. And that's where love God, love people, love coffee came from. He started one shop, got to three. That's where I came on in 2018, and we started working on software and systems and things to try to scale and grow the mission. And so, right now we have five cafes, three drive-thrus. We have it on the books to take it up to about 15 units over the next 36 months if everything goes well. And then we also do wholesale, some white label, and then we distribute for ourselves. We're kind of a closed loop system where we import, roast our own coffee, but we also run our own bakery and kitchen, and then we distribute all of our own paper goods. We bring those straight in from overseas. And so really there's no trucks that hit any of our locations besides our truck with all the products that we distribute in it. And so that's where we're at. We did find a lot of success by self-dealing the margins when it hits multiple sites and multiple distributors. Every one of those has a touch point and a cost associated with it. So for us, it really helped us. We buy Monin direct, Califia direct. Our paper goods come straight out of China direct. We source our own beans, and now we're importing them actually direct with relationships straight from the farms down in South and Central America there, and then from all over actually, but that's predominantly where we come from. So I came on in 2018. Before that, I had a background in construction and business, and worked for a utility as a system operator. So took a lot of the things that I learned at operations from a large utility and tried to just apply that to the business that we're in today.
All right. And Devin, what's your favorite menu item at Kuppa Joy? Or how do you take
favorite? Yeah. Definitely the Hallelujah. That's it's our predominant seller. All of our signature drinks are predominant sellers, but that and probably our ham and cheese croissant for a food item. So
I'm a big ham and cheese croissant lover. Awesome. All right. So then Matt, you're up. We'd love to hear a little bit about your business, about you, current kind of like size, what you sell and how. Let's go.
Yeah. So I started Sagebrush Coffee out of my garage in 2012. As my wife puts it, I was a home roaster, and she's like, if you have enough people telling you it's the best coffee they've ever had in their life, at some point you're like, man, I should sell this. And so we did. Started online. I had a day job. So this was the side business for me until 2020. And so we were an online business. So I would, get up at 4 a.m, roast coffee. My wife would package it until we moved out of the house into a spot, and then hired my sister to help do production for us until we grew. And so we've been predominantly an online coffee retailer, like no wholesale, everything, for however many years that is, going on 14 years. And then when COVID hit and all the coffee shops.
Oh no. More technical difficulties. Did Matt cut out for you too, Devin? Okay. All right. Well, we will see if we can get him back. While we're working on that, Devin, I'll just kind of continue with you and Kuppa Joy for a second here. So how you said you run a lot of the operations for Kuppa Joy, and how long has your company used Thrive for, and kind of what led you to find it in the first place?
Yeah. So what led us to get there was inventory could be such a pain point, especially with really the coffee industry. It's kind of a higher turnover. Most of your workers are probably 18 to 23 at the lower level, or entry level, I should say. And with turnover and training and inventory, it was a pain point, and especially with volume. So we said, like, hey, we need an inventory tracking system. And ultimately that's what led us to Thrive. I mean, the goal was we want to have self-ordering shops. So we don't want managers to ever have to order again, based on the workflow that Thrive has with par and reorder levels and all that good stuff. We just wanted to take that away from the shops completely. And so we set out, we went through every single recipe. We went through a calibration period from 3 to 6 months on products, and looking into tracking and looking at the usage, which is why we were pushing so hard for those 9 decimals. And we were able to find a balance there and really accomplish where our stores don't order anymore. It's all those orders are created from the warehouse and for the line of departments that are distributing products to those stores. And so that's where we're at today. But yeah, we were looking for a major solution. Inventory still seems to be the biggest bump, because it's not live, which is really the end goal in that is to have live inventory, with whether that's scaled bays or using AI, Nomad to come out and run through the back end of the shops and count inventory on regular cycle counts. But it has reduced stockouts tremendously. So
Awesome. Love to hear that. And yeah, it sounds like you guys really had that need. You have these 5 locations, you have these 3 drive-throughs, but you have this kind of central management layer who manages the inventory and processes for all. And Thrive was able to connect you with that pretty well. Matt, welcome back.
We're glad. Sorry about that. I lost internet. So
no problem. I know we were kind of to circle back to Sagebrush. You had shared with us, that you started in your home and were home roasting coffee, and now you've continued into your own store and roastery. What else did we miss from your story there?
That's most of it. When we opened the roastery or moved into the larger roastery in 2020, I've kind of always wanted to own a coffee shop, and the space that was a roastery set up well for a coffee shop. So in 21, we opened our first location as a coffee shop, and that's kind of where we're at right now, roasting out of the same places we're selling coffee and having a lot of fun doing it.
Awesome. Love it. Well, we are so excited to get the 2 of you together. And I know we have some other coffee shop owners here in the chat to really just talk all things coffee. So now that we've been through the introductions and Devin kind of shared how Kuppa Joy found Thrive, the first thing I want to kick us off with is just, in your opinion, on a broader scale, like, what are the current pain points facing I'll call them like local coffee shops and roasters today. And would either of you want to volunteer to kick it off?
You can go first, Devin.
Yeah, I'll start off. I mean, we're going to keep it inventory specific, right?
Oh, we can go broad. We have some other coffee shop owners on today, and we love hearing, anything that you guys are facing in your businesses and like what you're trying to do to help it. I think we can all learn from each other as a community.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think everyone in all industries faces the pain points of rising costs just across the board, from just your cost of goods to, taxes and fees, and just every department that seems like you have a line item on your books has gone up pretty tremendously over the last several years. So with that, you're trying to increase throughput with less labor and the stresses that come with that. And it's very, very tough to navigate for sure. But yeah, I guess I'll keep it with inventory, but really with inventory itself, when it's running smooth and no one has to touch it, the amount of time that we can put back for our management or ASMs or shift leads who touch it, they can love people, right? They can do what they do best in the cafes and in the drive-thrus, which is serve people and be great servants and not have to worry about, is this thing out of stock and now I've got to deactivate it in some way, or we've got mobile orders coming in and that person shows up and we have to tell them, hey, it's out of stock. So, I mean, inventory, it is the biggest pain point, I think, for a lot of people, balancing that, not too much capital tied up with too much on the shelf, but then having enough there for, holiday times or rush times or certain parts of the year where you have these increases in influxes. And so you want to be able to provide the customer for what they want. Because coffee is interesting. I say coffee is one of the few industries that you can mess someone's day up. I mean, how many times have you come into a meeting at 3:00 and someone's talking about at 7 this morning how they got down the road and the person messed their latte up, or they haven't had their coffee yet? Please excuse me, I haven't had my coffee yet. It is a very, very touchy item where you want to make sure that you're giving people great product and just not ruining their day. Coffee fuels a lot of the life and business that we operate in today's world.
Definitely. And, you started out by saying biggest pain point was cost. And I think we're seeing with that with our customers across the board. And is there anything unique or any small wins you guys have had with managing those costs or levers you've had to pull to do so?
I mean, for us, starting early, I always said, like, we want to be like an Apple, a closed system. We want to control everything. We want to control to the minute of what time the truck hits our store for the optimal time. And so really us going vertical early and cutting out all the middlemen really helped. I mean, Monin, when we first started out, it would hit Houston's and then it would hit JD's and, it hit 2 or 3 distributors before us, whereas now Monin just hits us direct. Calafia was the same. It hit 2 or 3 distributors before it hit us direct. And now it hits us direct. Same thing with coffee. We had, a lot of people in the middle of coffee, and we were able to fly down and make some relationships and have some processing plants and stuff that'll do some of the third-party work for us on our coffee and our buying and stuff. So that is direct. Really everything that we have for the most part, or at least our larger line items, are direct. We used to have a third party that would do our kitchen and do pastries, and we were able to take that in-house. And so for our baked goods, we deliver every single day to every single location for all of our locations. And then for our kitchen items, every other day, those products are delivered with their coffee and dairy and all the other products. So for us, just really cutting out all the middle vendors that was really huge for us to be able to control cost. And then with that was never really the intent, but came off, well, if we're distributing to our own shops and we're roasting for other people, why don't we just start distributing to them and white label their package and provide them with their cups and their sauces and their syrups and some of the things. And we don't do that for a whole lot of people right now, as we're still trying to really prove our systems in a way that can scale. I mean, we're trying to scale. Like I want to get into a stance where we're opening a shop every, 60 to 90 days, where we take the units up over 100. But we're probably about 15 months away from that based on some of the systems that we're working on right now. But to your main point, yeah, just the cost, really, the more hands it touches, the more the cost is going to be. So just trying to negotiate direct, even early on, finding someone in a market that's not maybe competing with you, but you guys do enough volume together where you could bring in a full container and then split that. Because when you bring in containers, the drop costs so much. There was a point where I told my partner, I said, we could literally light half the container on fire and it'd still be cheaper than what we're paying for on the small bag stuff, because we're bringing in large amounts. So just finding partners in other areas that you feel like you can, not that we're ever a threat. I think coffee has shown that the market space is, Starbucks has proven that the market is big enough for everyone to survive, which is why you see coffee on every single street corner in America, it feels like. But leveraging partnerships and bringing the buying power together, if you're not in a position to be able to do that, is a way that I think is, can be very helpful.
I love that. Even though we're small to medium-sized business, we're local, we still have negotiating power. We can partner with each other. I think that builds such a strong community, and kind of what we're trying to do right here, right? Very cool. Great tips in there. So Matt, let's see, in your opinion, what are some of the pain points facing coffee shops, small local coffee shops, in the overall coffee industry today?
I mean, Devin nailed it with costs. So to not be redundant, I think secondary to that is having the good, right people. Like our business has been at its worst when I've done a bad job hiring, and it's been at its best when I've let other people do a good job hiring. And I've just learned I can't hire people. Like, I'm not allowed anymore. But it's true. Like we probably 2 years ago, we pivoted to just kind of be really willing to fire someone pretty quickly if they're not a good fit, and not like, if someone wants to grow, we grow them. But if someone doesn't want to grow and be the kind of employee we want, then it's just time to move on. And the amount of money we spent that year just in turnover, or having employees that weren't contributing to what we wanted the business to be culturally, because frankly, anyone can pour a cup of coffee, but to bring the culture of hospitality to the customers, to communicate what we want to do, it's actually a hard skill to find, especially at the pay rate of baristas. And so being able to find the ones and invest in them, like without that, that's why coffee shops fail.
Yeah.
And inventory. Like, inventory is so helpful to know what you have when you have it. And if your inventory is not accurate, you're hosed. But.
Yeah, I would like to touch in on labor and hiring. I mean, it was definitely a pain point for us as well. When we pushed into pre-employment tests, where now we do a mechanical part of it, because that mechanical aptitude is very needed in coffee to understand how things affect. When we went to that side and we did the behavioral assessment, so what we did is we did a video interview, a behavioral assessment, and a mechanical assessment. It's about 45 minutes. Before, we would get inundated with a ton of applications, and we still do. But if you're willing to give us 45 minutes of your time for these assessments, it really filtered out a lot of the people that were just showing up to look a job. Like, they want to buy into the culture. They want to be a part of it. And that really, really helped reduce our turnover. Once we put that system in place, for the screening, and then we screen them, and then we put them into a labor pool for the managers. And so basically, by the time the manager at the store gets it, any one of those picks should be hireable because we've already screened everything out. Not everything. You're always going to have misses, but it did change the turnover and really enrich the culture that we were really looking for people to be bought in and to be cut in, frankly.
I love these tips. Matt, have you guys done anything to help with your hiring besides
firing me from hiring? Yes. Our application, it's not as extensive as what Devin just described, so I'm going to steal what I can from that. But our application is pretty long, and that's key. And so many of the questions really have nothing to do with coffee. Like, I think the most telling question we ask is, name your 3 favorite restaurants and why. Because you just learn about the person, and that's been the key pivot for us. Is I don't really care if you have barista experience. I don't really care what your job experience is. There's things that I look at in that, but what I really care about is what kind of person you are. And so the quicker we can get through the interview feeling of that, but actually learn what kind of person they are, the better it is. And so our interviews are more like, have a cup of coffee with us and talk about your life, not let's have a typical interview. And that's helped a lot.
Love it. Kind of to recap some of the pain points, obviously rising costs. We're dealing with this across the board. And we kind of talked about, Devin, you mentioned closed loop, and you guys work to do as much as you can, like bringing your bakery in-house, negotiating, and then also forming partnerships with other local companies. We did mention a little bit of inventory, which we'll kind of loop back to on ways that you guys are working the inventory system that work well and places for improvement. And then we also mentioned hiring and how, you need to quickly fire someone if they're not the right fit, and put some barriers in place, like assessment tests, to make sure that someone applying really wants to be there and is a good fit culturally. Love this so far. So I'll move on to our next question. And I have a feeling we covered some of them already, but just what are some of the best decisions you've made that have had a positive impact in your business? Maybe a small impact, maybe a big one, but just any recent decisions, changes you've made that were super positive.
So I guess I can go first. This was pretty early on, but it was really just defining our mission, defining who we are. And I came from Intel. I spent 10 years as an industrial engineer at Intel, and my impulse was, well, we just spend a lot of time in rooms talking about our mission, and let's actually do work. And so I didn't want to do that. But my son, who's our general manager, one day was just like, hey, what is the mission? What's our goal here? And I'm like, I don't want to worry about that. He's like, well, why are you doing this? And my answer was, well, to put on display the hard work of coffee producers. Like, I don't care. I want to get out of the way. Our job is to focus on the people behind us in the supply chain and help put them on display. And when I said that, he wrote it on the whiteboard, and that became our motto in everything we do. And it makes things so easy to make decisions when you have that grid. And so having that grid of, hey, do we go with cheap milk or expensive milk? And it's like, well, what's going to put this coffee on display the best? Expensive milk. Well, then we'll mark it up and we'll deal with it. Like, when you make that as your grid and it doesn't have to be that, but when you make, hey, this is the type of business we want to be, and this is the grid we're making all of our decisions through. And so when we're deciding things across the board, we filter it through that. That's the best decision I made was just having a grid for decision making.
Yeah, agreed. Very much. I mean, same thing in our conference room where we hold most of our meetings. We have, our love God, love people, love coffee when we're making decisions and trying to reflect back on that. There is some wandering and a little bit of loss at times, and keep trying to keep those aligned, especially in the market that we're in. Business and in the religion aspect and all that, it can be tough to weave those in together at times. It can be tough. And one of the things that's really tough that you touched on is like, hey, you got to be willing to part ways. Sometimes the company might outgrow some individuals and where they're at. And, it's real easy to come back. Well, that's not loving people. And so that's a tough one to combat. We do try to go above and beyond and do severance and do anything that we can that maybe wouldn't be normal at the size business we're at right now. Just to know that like, hey, this isn't hard feelings. We want to see you succeed wherever that is. But at this time, this isn't the right fit. And if we're going to hit our target, we have to have the team that's capable of doing that. And so that is tough. That is tough to navigate. Tugs on the heart for sure.
Early on, Devin, sorry to interrupt. Early on, I was reading Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership book, and he makes a point of sometimes the most loving thing you can do to an employee is not have them in a job that they're not going to be successful in. I know he didn't have a double negative, but like to take them out of a job you think they're not going to be successful in. And that has rung in my ears for the 10 years we've been doing this of like, hey, if I've got the wrong person in a job, it's actually loving to move them on. But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's not a fun, loving conversation.
Never.
but it's the right thing to do.
At the end of the day.
Yep.
Well, yeah, mission statement, like Matt, I was thinking, you're like, I got into this because I started roasting coffee and people liked it, but then putting that real why behind it.
Yeah.
And cool. So any other, best decisions lately that had a positive impact? If not, I'll hop into talking a little bit about inventory.
Yeah. I mean, I'll touch on a little bit, like, don't be scared to invest in the software and equipment, systems. If you want to scale, like systems, you have to have systems to scale.
Yeah.
And you need to have robust systems, and you need to be able to and make those investments. I know early on I was like kind of on a spending spree. My partner's like, whoa, what's going on here? And I'm like, but like, you don't understand, like, this is a digital world. Everything needs to be digitally tracked, from even, to where we deliver now. Like whatever we do, it needs to be in line with the best people to do it. So like scanning on and off the truck and the last mile notifications, our stores can see where the truck is out on the route and how many minutes away it's going to be. And with the geo fencing, when did the truck go on route? When did it leave? Just anything and everything that you can digitize, because with the AI and all that stuff, you're seeing these AI, I call them operators, but the more clean data that you can have, that you can feed into AI operators, it's able to give you breakdowns and reports and analysis so rapidly, but also daily. And so I know it can be these subscriptions and some of these things can start to get really expensive from time to time, but the headache that they can save, and then the robustness and richness of information to make really good decisions, not based on emotion, but on what your business is really telling you, is huge. Because a lot of times you'll get feedback relative to people's feelings early on. So I'm very much on the back end. Zack is the retail. He's the front end. He works in the shops. We're two totally different people and totally different interests, and it works out great. And he would come back and he would come back to me and be like, hey, they said this doesn't sell. We need to cut it. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd pull the report and I'd be like, well, yeah, but this is X%. Look at all these other items. I said, we can't take people's feedback like that, because that's relative to the time of shift they work, what day, maybe they're Saturdays, and or it was so busy today. And he's like, man, it was, they're saying it's busy. And I'm like, but the transactions in items are down, and our ratio to labor says that they were overstaffed. So just And I know sometimes the data doesn't always tell the complete picture. Sometimes there might be some missing component of it that it's not. But just I'm huge on investing into systems and software. It saves a lot of stress and a lot of headaches.
And Devin, I know some of this from talking with you, but what does your tech stack look like right now at Kuppa Joy?
Oh man, I mean, I guess it really depends on which workflow. Like one of the workflows that we've completed is all the way from product procurement to how we manage our warehouse. We actually use Predico, which is heavily AI based, and that's what we bring product in. And then at the store level, they go ahead and auto create, and it sends it over and extracts the information out of the PDF and makes it a Shopify order. That Shopify order flows into TrackPod, which is how we scan and do all of our stuff on and off the truck. And we track to see what's been delivered, what hasn't been delivered. And then from that delivery, if there is a dispute, it's able to track, and that rolls into Monday.com. Monday.com has probably been one of the best softwares that we have. We manage all of our internal. I said, if you're emailing internal, you're probably not using the right process, because internal communications for teams really shouldn't be on emails. They should be, as you guys probably use as well, something that's more granular and it's specific to that item. So that way, when we're conversating about a rollout item or a project, but Monday's been huge for us. The amount of integrations that it has, all of our feedback that we get from stores, disputes, if a customer has a dispute, they put in customer inquiries. Like I said, internal workflows, a lot of our internal workflows, where if it's an IT request, we manage those tickets in there. Mm-hmm. Those are integrated to our phone system where, if you're calling on a ticket, that is recorded there. Our tech stack is, we got a lot of different softwares that we're on. We're now on Ramp for our accounts payable, and I absolutely love that with the integration and how smart it is with being able to process a lot of payments. Because a lot of these things in sometimes the team gets a little frustrated. They're like, why are you changing it? It works. And I'm like, yeah, but it's working at 8, but it's not going to work at 100 plus locations. Like, this isn't scalable. This is manual. There's still too much human input. And just having that kind of that thought process. But yeah, I love the tech for sure.
Yeah. I have a few specific questions. Quick, what do you guys use as loyalty program?
Right now, we are on Square. We use Square's native loyalty program.
Awesome.
Really, we are really married to Thrive, and Thrive only integrates with two true POSs. And what is that? It's Clover and
Square.
And Square. And so that's where we're at right now. And really with all the integrations that we have in our suite, people try to pitch us at all, but really the next move is to go from Square and roll out into Clover and become our own third-party payment processor as well. So that way, if we're franchising and scaling, we have that other entity that's processing payments and reducing the cost on processing the payments as well. So that's really our next move. We're going to roll out of Square and into Clover, but we're probably about 2 years away from that.
Yeah. I feel like you have this objective closed loop, and that fits right in.
Yep.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say we also, of course, support Shopify point of sale, but to your point, it doesn't have modifiers and things like that. Amazing. And Matt, I'm curious, what's in your guys' tech stack right now?
Not nearly as many solutions as he has. Although I do live in Monday.
Monday's great.
Although you're a lot more robust with Monday. Everything I do in Monday is marketing related. And kind of connecting to all of our different means there. Frankly, so our online business is all Shopify. Our retail business is all Square. And that integrates with Thrive. And then, outside of that, I think we use Slack for internal messaging. And we use QuickBooks. That's it.
There we go.
That may be it.
All right.
So
let's switch over to inventory a little bit. I want to talk eventually about your ordering and receiving processes, but I do want to get to Stephanie in our audience asked a question first. So when it comes to inventory and staying on top of inventory and training your employees to do so, which I know we already said is sometimes a little bit of a pain point, Stephanie is asking, how do you manage waste and spillage with Thrive or in general? So maybe we call this waste, expired goods, pastries that don't sell at the end of the day. Let's see, Matt, do you want to start us off there?
Yeah. So most of our inventory, I bury a factor into our usage rates of acceptable weight loss. And so like when I mean, let's see, for as an example, like milk, we measure to the gram for every drink. So it's something like 10 ounces of milk for a latte. Um, and I probably bury like about 5% more than that. And so outside of that, we do regular stock takes. And if something falls significantly, which for me, significantly on most things is 3 to 5%, if we fall significantly out of that, then we start investigating what caused that stock take and maybe, or caused that variation, and maybe do inventories more frequently than what we're doing right now, which most stuff is on a monthly inventory cycle for us.
Okay. So it sounds like, starting with setting up your catalog correctly, creating your bundles, mapping your modifiers to variants. So we make sure we're pulling every time a drink is sold or a food item is sold. And then you guys are doing kind of monthly stock takes, and you have your levels of, okay, this is green, this is kind of yellow, and this is red alert. What's going on here?
Yep.
Awesome. Devin, what about you guys? I know you've got some crazy rulers with dashes and stock templates and
Yeah, so on the stock take side, what we found was, and that's this next story, we're really pushing into that because Nomad, that came out with Starbucks and the AI that can scan a whole wall and tell you what it is. So we're building, they're saying they're not going to come out with that until the Q4 of this year for people that have less than 100 units. So with that, what we're doing is we're basically building, and we did it in Visalia, where all of our inventory stuff is clear with levels. So when they stock their cups, we've already told them it's a one line, 1.25, 15, 175, whatever that is. So that way they're not counting cups or sleeves. It's just an easy color identifier and a number. If stock is off, they just grab it and say 1.75. And that might be 1.75 of a case. However, we've set those trigger points, because when we were like counting, way more errors. And so pretty much all of our back of the house stuff is in containers that are labeled or have been custom built. So that way, when they are going through there, they can have it accurate. Now, what we found is human error still comes in. We still fat finger things time to time. And so what we're tying that in is we're getting that set up for Nomad. Nomad can scan the whole wall, update inventory, and then that would integrate into Thrive, because we kind of moved away from true real-time inventory because we realized, hey, this is going to be really costly to make this happen versus using a Nomad, or I'm sure there's going to be other players on the market that come out that can scan and look at inventory and update it instantly. But with marking things out, that's kind of a stick point, because what we had to do is we had to have a unique identifier on that, because it looks at velocity. It thinks it's velocity. So we were putting it through the register early on, but that would give us inaccurate usage. So at the end of the day, they would ring things through. But now we're able to pull reports that tags it, and we're able to pull reports and say, hey, this is actually not part of the cells. And so we actually have to export that data into another program, and we don't really use the sales forecasting and reporting so much in Thrive, because we need those unique identifier, those line items to be pulled out, because we still do put it through our register and it skews the information.
The way we've gotten around that is we've created 0 sale inventory adjustment SKUs for anything that can be removed. And so they tie to, like, they're a bundle, they tie to the actual inventory item. But like, so aged out bags of coffee, we have an inventory adjustment SKU. So at the end of the shift, if they're going, oh, we're aging out these coffees, they'll just knock it out of the system. Then it doesn't technically show up in our sales data.
Yeah, because you're doing a stock take, right?
Yeah. For that, it's just out of Square. It just comes out of Square.
But what I'm saying is you're having to go in and manually adjust it, right?
Yeah. If someone's like, if they're clearing products off the shelf because they expired for whatever reason,
Yep.
their closing shift task is to go through and check those out of the computer as well.
So when you say check them out, how do they check them out? What do you mean by that?
It functions like a sales ticket, but it's a zero cost. It's a separate line item. So it's not like the bag of coffee. It's an adjustment of that ties to the bag of coffee to reduce the inventory. So it's a separate line item in Thrive. That's just we just call it inventory adjustment. And then each variant of the inventory adjustment is the specific line item. And then it reduces the inventory of what we show in Thrive for bags of coffee.
Interesting. I'm wondering how we could tie that maybe to the register, because the volume
for that, we've actually set up a mobile register, like one of their mobile units, that they just, like, the whole menu for that is doing inventory adjustments. So they can just kind of walk the retail area and just check everything out of the system at the end of the shift. And so we do that with pastries. We do it with really pastries and bags of coffees. I think are the only things that really age out, but we may do that. Like someone may go back a house and clear some milks out that expire and stuff like that.
Okay. So it sounds like what you're kind of doing is treating it as a sale, but the sale has zero,
it's a $0 item.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think also, Stephanie, like, what we would recommend with using Thrive is using a stock take, and you can templatize these. Like, I know Devin's group has a different template for every day of the week of different things they're counting. And you can use the stock takes to remove things out of inventory. You can even give it a reason and say, these are expired goods. Maybe you're doing a large donation somewhere. These are donation goods. So kind of that reason tied reporting to show why something's being taken out of inventory. Stephanie, hopefully that answered your question overall.
The reason we haven't done that with Thrive is I don't have everyone trained on Thrive. Everyone knows Square. So it's easy for me to have my baristas just see a menu in Square and make those adjustments. My inventory guys will do stock takes to verify that everything's right.
Nice.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, I feel like we could talk here, gosh, for another 30 minutes at least. But I know we only have so much time. Let's see. I was just curious, anything else that you do to make sure you're on top of inventory counts? And how do you train your employees to do these things? So maybe we talked a little bit about stock counts, but maybe about receiving.
Yeah. So for receiving, for us, it goes back to the not being trained on Thrive. So we actually, when stuff shows up, because we're all one location, like there's the front of house coffee shop, back of house roastery, and then I guess the way back of house, like where we bake all our pastries and stuff like that. But so we have asked our baristas, because that's generally where random things are received, to just post on a Slack channel a picture of what's received. And then we have our roastery guys receive POs in the system. That's the easiest thing for us for a lot of the one-off, whatever supplies show up when we don't have people in the production area staffed, because they're staffed like 7 to 3 and stuff shows up whenever. Like if we're receiving things that are like a normal receiving, then it's, the person that places the order. I still like paper, unfortunately. So I print the PO to their printer, and then they know what's expected to come the next day. And they look at that PO, match it up to what's actually received, receive it in Thrive. And if there's a variation, then there's a Slack channel for that where they show the variance of what was expected versus what showed up. And then we have the buyer, manage that variance.
Great.
Yeah, for us at retail, so it's a little different because really the only trucks hitting our stores are our trucks. But
Mhm.
what we did do is we found we always try to look for data points that aren't used that we can try to leverage in a way. And this one was the vendor SKU. What we used for the vendor SKU was we were able to match that with a data point in Shopify, and so we arranged our warehouse to where when they pick, it's the most efficient flow possible. But we also needed the order in which they were packed to be the reverse order of which they're received on the Thrive side. And so we were able to use the vendor SKU. And then before we actually create the PO, we hit that button one time with the arrow up. It puts it in the correct order. And then that way, when they receive the PO on their side, when they're receiving packages out of boxes, it's in the same order as they're receiving. Because what we saw, and I talk about this even with stock takes, we did it on our back of the house stores. They're able to, how did we sort there? We sort a different way, but same thing in our back of the house. We sort, and then when they're doing stock takes, I call it eyeball bounce, right? They're back and forth and they're all over and we're getting a lot of errors. So same thing, we're able to order that stock take in the same. So left to right, top to bottom. And so they're not jumping and scrolling. Well, that was similar to when we were receiving POs. It was like scrolling up and down and where is this product and where is that product? So we saw that the receiving, when we were able to organize that and pack it, now it's a little different because we control both ends. Pack it in a way that it was so much easier to receive, our errors went down a lot. I think sometimes we get product disputes and it was like, well, did we really pack it? Was it there and they missed it? What side was it on? Which is why now we're pushing into the scanner side of the receiving. But yeah, that's what we were able to leverage, some of those data points to use them to reorganize the correct order of what we wanted.
Nice. And now we have bin and shelf locations. So hopefully that can help with the stock takes moving forward. Awesome. Well, guys, I know we already went a little bit over time, but for any attendees, if you have any last things to put in Q&A, please do. And Matt, any closing remarks from you to your fellow coffee entrepreneurs?
Man, it's funny. I don't think very many people got into coffee to get rich, and it's a hard business to do that in. But it's also has to be the most fun business to be in the world. Like, as Devin was saying, people love their coffee. I came between Intel and Sagebrush. I worked in the appliance industry. And one of the things I hated about the appliance industry is everyone walks in the store mad. Like, no one is starting their day off going, you know what I want to do today? Have my fridge break and then have to go buy a new one. And so there's a bit of joy because you're turning people's day by getting them excited about something. But for coffee, like, everyone walks into the store and it's a lot of people's highlight of the day. And so the goal in the business is to not get in the way of that and to help them just be excited about it. And they're splurging most of the time. Like, I mean, we've got a $30 pour over. Like, people are spending stupid amounts of money on coffee.
Yeah.
and so when they're splurging, like, you want them to experience that. And it's just about as much fun. And so don't get caught up in the day-to-day struggles of life, but remember that this is, like, we're here to have fun, and it's a lot of fun to be in this business.
That's amazing. Will you shout out your favorite coffee shop that is not Sagebrush or Kuppa Joy?
I was just gonna say, well, I've never been to Kuppa Joy, but I'm sold. So favorite coffee shop, that's tough. It depends on where I am. I spend a lot of vacation time in San Diego. It's kind of part of the deal when you live in Phoenix and it's 150 out, you drive to San Diego. And Necessity Coffee. The guys over there at Necessity do a great job. Love the guys over there. That's if you're in the San Diego area, go check out Necessity.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
Devin, any closing remarks, and then we're going to get your favorite as well. Oh,
Me?
yeah. Yep.
Closing remarks. I guess just continue to stand tall, stand brave, stand in the gap. I guess just have a mindset that there's a solution out there. We live in a day today where content and community and resources, and especially with AI being out there, it's democratized connections and intelligence massively. And so it's good times if you can tough through the energy and some of the difficulties of managing a business. It is really exciting times to be pushing into, but like Matt said, don't let the difficulties in it take away the fun, because I'm guilty of that from time to times, of frustrations of like, what are we doing this for? But the mission, right? Whatever your mission is, whatever your purpose is, to make sure that you protect that and stand guard against the enemy and the whispers and the things that may come along the way. To just stand firm in your belief in whatever your mission is, just continue it, because there was a reason why that mission was given to you, and just cherish it.
Awesome. And do you have a favorite coffee shop to shout out that's not Kuppa Joy or Sagebrush?
Probably not the best answer. Maybe my partner, you would be asking the right one. I'm really not so much a coffee guy. I'm very much a business and operations. So I don't really visit a whole lot of what's out there unless I'm looking to see what technology or what systems they are. So I can't really give you a favorite of that I know and go visit frequently, because I don't really visit them very often.
All good.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, there's so many out there. There's one on every corner, and there's room for them all. So awesome. Well, we can't thank you guys enough for being with us today and sharing your knowledge, your experience, your pain points, your successes, and truly hope that everyone took something away from these past 56 minutes. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.